Hey, what's up, everybody? I bet you can't hear the music. How about now? You still can't. There, is that better? You're gonna have to let me know. So can you hear the music now? Or what? Welcome to the absolute damnation. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining. You can't hear the music? No music? That sucks. No music? Nope. Well, that sucks. How about this? How about now? See, well, the problem is that this microphone is connected directly to the speakers. And that's the problem. That generates a problem here. There it is. Okay. Star Ocean first departure music, huh? Yeah! We're good to go. Alright, everybody! I think this is episode 96 of the Q&A. We got 5 more to go, including this one, before we reach 100. The 100th episode is going to be... we're going to have to do something special, something different. I don't know what yet, haven't thought about it, but it's going to have to be something different. Something special. Thank you for joining as always. Thanks for being a fan. Almost there to 100,000 subs. Almost there. Got a great video, very successful video a couple of days ago, and I'm very happy. It's been a while since I last saw a video of mine succeed. I think it's because of the a certain specific game that I covered in that video. If you haven't watched the video, watch it. It's pretty good. I'd love to make those videos a little bit more often, but well, I need more time to finish games, right? It usually takes me at least a couple of weeks to finish a game. Well, actually, it depends on the game. If it's a short RPG, one of those that you can beat in like 10 to 15 hours, it usually takes me about a week or so. So, but the videos can't be just short RPGs, can they? So, yeah, a couple of months at the very least. But yeah. Let's begin with your goddamn questions. Have you played Toomba on the PS1? No, I have not. Is that the 3D platformer game? I think so, right? I've heard of it, and I think I've seen it, but I've never played it. Almost the YouTube plague. Yeah, almost there. Let's see if they send it to Mexico. Shipping included. Taxes included. Let's see them shipping that thing to Mexico. They have to. I mean, there's a lot of Mexican channels. Whether they're in English or Spanish, they have the plague. So, well, we'll see if they send it to me. Is the beard in celebration of the soon-to-be 100,000 subs milestone? Not really. I don't know, I decided to leave the beard grow just for fun. Or maybe just out of laziness. How was the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth demo? Well, thanks for asking. I have a lot to say about it. First and foremost, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were kind of shocked by the events that happened. It's kind of a cliffhanger at the end. And if you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, the original game, chances are, that demo left you with a big cliffhanger, right? Like, oh my god, kind of a bit of a plot twist. Like, you weren't expecting things to go so dark in that moment. So I'm pretty sure it must have been impactful for a lot of people. Not to me. Not to me or anybody else who played the original game, because we already knew what was going to happen. As soon as we saw the demo takes place in Cloud's home, and Sephiroth is there, and you visit the reactor in there, yeah, I mean, at the very least, I was like, so this is the demo, huh? Now we know what's going to happen. And you know what happened at the end of the demo? What I was already expecting to happen. So it happened. I wasn't shocked because I already knew that was going to happen. But I don't know, from a cinematic and graphics perspective, it was pretty cool to see that. It feels more, I guess, more impactful than the original version with its polygonal graphics and shit. But now in this AAA 2024 level of graphics, it was more impactful. And well, it brought back all of those memories when I first saw that scene in the original game. I was like re-seeing that again, reliving that. It was, well, unfortunately, it wasn't as impactful for me, but I liked that. I was like, man, new gamers who never played the original are gonna experience this and gonna be like, what? Sephiroth, what the hell? Right? Yeah. So I think it was pretty clever to end the demo right there. Pretty interesting in such a dark and tragic moment. Yeah, that was pretty fun. Gameplay wise, well, it's the same. It's more of the same Devil May Cry, God of War hack and slash combat. Nothing new. I did like the fact that you can. I don't remember if this feature was in the original game in part 1. But you can just let the characters fight by themselves. Although they suck balls, man. I was like, okay, let's go with this mode to see the characters doing all the fighting while I sit back on my ass and cross my arms and see what they do. And they suck. They're so freaking terrible, man, at fighting. And like 10 seconds later, I was there with the controller again. I changed the mode and controlled them. Yeah, go manual. Do not let the AI control your characters for you. It's just ridiculous. I like the fact that you can change between characters, just like in the first game. Controlling Sephiroth was a blast. He's a much better character than Cloud. Man, I had a blast fighting with Sephiroth. And what else? That's it. Tifa looked sexy as usual with her cowgirl outfit. But she's once again, she's censored. You can't see anything below, down there. She's wearing some kind of shorts. I don't know. But yeah, and the graphics obviously look better. I played the demo on my PlayStation 5. Obviously, they look a little bit better than in the original PS4 version that came out 4 years ago. Was it 4 years ago? Yeah, right in 2020. Anyway, so yeah, good demo, decent demo. My one and only complaint is that Cloud's Town seemed to be kind of inclusive for no reason. I mean, what's the name of the world in Final Fantasy VII? I can't remember the name of the world, but I don't remember the game taking place in planet Earth in 2024. That doesn't make any sense. And there were like characters that looked from different places of planet Earth in there. And I was like, these characters, I mean, these races don't even exist in this game. Like, what are they doing here in Cloud's Town? Well, it's 2024. Weren't we talking last time about the ESG or something and forced inclusion in Nibelheim? Thanks. And the world is called Midgar. Oh, yeah, I remember Midgar. No, Gaia is from Final Fantasy IX. And that's the other world. Midgar, yeah. Oh my god, what a creative name, huh? Midgar. Without the D at the end to make it cooler. Oh, it's edgier without the D. Midgar. And I always thought that was stupid. When I first played the game, I was like, oh man, this is horseshit. But yeah, that's my one only complaint. But apart from that, it's part 2. The continuation of a game, some small new features in there, but nothing relevant. It's pretty much the same game as before, just part 2. The dot hack games or the Trails games. Every game offers a few small new improvements, but it's basically the same game, right? Like this, the one game come to different parts, and this is part 2. The end, nothing special. So am I excited for it? Well, not really, to be honest. I'm a big fan of the original game, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the remake, Part 1. So I like the demo, I like what I played. I'm not looking forward to the release. I'm not gonna get it. I don't give a damn about it. I'm probably gonna wait a few years until the price drops considerably and play it. And that's it. That's all I have to say about the demo. Good demo, though. Good demo. Story-wise, it's a good demo. Anyway, so, as you may already know, no need to revisit this topic, but I have to because it's live and I'm a big fan. And as you may already know, one of my ultimate all-time heroes passed away. In case you didn't know, in case you missed the news, Suikoden creator Yoshitaka Murayama died at 55 years old. Very tragic news. It hits harder, when you see an actor or director that you liked, or a video game composer like Koichi Sugiyama when he passed away. It wasn't as shocking to me because Koichi Sugiyama passed away at 90 years old. Like, he really old. Like, he lived his life. He didn't die young. He died old. And also, let's face it, I wasn't the biggest fan of his music. I've never been the biggest Dragon Quest fan. So, when he died, it was like sad news. I felt it, but it didn't shock me, But reading about Yoshitaka Murayama dying, that was pretty shocking. He's one of my heroes. I mentioned in the video, I made a video. In the video I mentioned he was one of my 5 favorite video game personalities and all-time influences. Up there with Masato Kato, Yasunori Mitsuda, definitely. Hironobu Sakaguchi, even though I don't respect the guy anymore. He was one of my heroes many years ago. And who else is there? Ryota Kosuka, the music composer of SMT. Shoji Meguro, specifically, Tetsuya Takahashi. I have lots of them, right? But Yoshitaka Murayama, he created my favorite video game series of all time. So when I read the news, I was shocked, man. I can't believe it, Is this real? And I looked it up online and saw like a dozen magazines talking about it. And I was like, oh my God, you gotta be shitting me. It's real. He's really dead. And at 55 years old, wow. Sure, the guy was fat and he was struggling with some illnesses. And they didn't give any specifics on how he died, on what really killed him. But I read somewhere in a couple of websites that it was due to multiple organ failure. So several of his organs failed at the same time and he died. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but maybe we will know at a later date what killed him, or maybe we will never know. But whatever the case, rest in peace, Yoshitaka Murayama, the creator of Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicle, and it breaks my fucking heart that he didn't live to see his new game come to fruition. He completed the game, obviously. He probably played it and felt satisfied, okay, yeah, this is good for release it, this is great, I love it, and then he died. That's, it's tragic news, but at least he had enough time to complete his game and to play it. And maybe it'll be much better than any Suikoden game, I don't know, maybe this is gonna be his masterpiece because he had full creative control over the game. He didn't have Konami on his back telling him what to do now. So it was all him, and I'm pretty sure this game is going to be his opera prima, how do you call it in English? Well, you know what I mean, his ultimate masterpiece, and it's legendary, tragic, but legendary to die right at the completion, after the completion of your masterpiece, of your best work so far. So rest in peace, Yoshitaka Murayama, long live your career, your life, your games. We will never forget you. I will never forget you. One of my heroes is dead. It hits hard, but life goes on. The best we can do is play his games and continue his legacy, at least as fans, and play the damn game. Eiyuden Chronicle, coming soon in April. Yeah, rest in peace. Died way too young, man. Anyway, so another news East 10 is coming out in a month, I think. Only on PC, though. Well, that's your Western release, at least. When will we see a console release? Probably this very same year. I don't think it's going to take North America to an entire year to bring the game, to port the game to consoles. I don't think so. If we're getting a PC release next month, chances are somewhere around this year we'll see the game. I'm thinking fall, because they gotta release first Trails Through Daybreak during the summer. I'm thinking the game will be released on June or July, and then we'll get East 10 by September, October maybe. I'm hoping. Here's hoping we get the game this very same year on consoles. But yeah, all of you PC gamers will be able to play the game and experience it and tell us non-PC gamers all about it. So yeah, East 10. So I'm wrong. Some new news that I don't know about were released. East 10 is dropping on both PC and PS5. I'm pretty sure they announced... I follow a magazine, a website called Icicle Disaster. Check it out if you haven't. It usually tells you every single JRPG, even indie RPGs and sometimes Western RPGs that are being released every month of every year. Okay, so I follow that website, Icicle Disaster. Check it out. And I remember it saying that East 10 was going to be released only on PC on March next month. So it's coming to PS5 during the fall. I didn't know that. PlayStation dropped the announcement trailer 4 days ago. Oh, I missed it probably. Yeah, I didn't know that, man. I just got so caught up in the Yoshitaka Murayama death that I missed any other relevant news after that. And I worked on my video that you probably watched, 5 RPGs I need to talk about, released a couple of days ago, and then I took a break. But yeah, I didn't know, so okay. For the sake of my second channel, let me redo my small monologue. So, on other great news, East 10 has been finally announced for the fall of this very same year. That's awesome. No specific release date yet, right? But during the fall. I'm thinking it will probably be released on September, October of this very same year. Hopefully they won't wait until November, but I wouldn't be surprised. Usually most of the big ones, the big hits, are released on November, right before, a month before Christmas, so people can have enough time to play the games, especially during the holidays, right? That's always the strategy. So it doesn't matter. We finally got a release season, not date, season, fall of 2023-4. And apparently it's going to be on PS5, PS4 maybe, and Switch, and PC. But I'm pretty sure I saw in this website that I was telling you about, Icicle Disaster, that I've been following you for a couple of years, that the PC version will be released on March. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's there. It says so right there that the PC version, only the PC version will be released next month in March, whereas the console versions apparently will be released on fall. That's awesome news. First, we're gonna get Trails Through Daybreak, a brand new saga in the Trails universe. And then we're gonna get East 9. Man, it looks like it's gonna be one heck of a year for Falcom and North America, and I can't wait. I'm a big fucking die-hard fan of both series. So, oh yeah, that's great news, man. Thanks for letting me know. I only knew about the PC version on March being released, but I didn't know the console version had been announced for this very same year. That's awesome news. Thanks for letting me know. Anyway, will there be a physical release for EU then? I think so. I remember they got a lot of money from the Kickstarter, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be a physical release. I don't know if it's up there for sale yet. I have no idea. I haven't checked. In fact, well, why don't we check right now? I don't think there's going to be anything right now. I mean, we're 2 months away from the release, so maybe, right? EU then. Chronicle 100 Heroes. Let's check it out. Rising got a physical release. Nope, I don't see anything. I only see Rising, the one that came out last year. It's kind of cheap though. I'm seeing the PS4 version for like $30 here. Nice, free shipping. Yeah, I might get it. Yeah, man, I don't see anything at all. No. Pretty sure it's gonna have a physical release. Eiyuden Physical is up for pre-order already. Where maybe in the Kickstarter page, it's not on Amazon, I just checked. But then again, I just checked in Amazon Mexico. And you know what happened last time with Grand Blue Fantasy? No pre-orders on Amazon Mexico. You couldn't buy Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, any physical version, until the date it got released. So, yeah, but pretty sure, people are saying here that the Eiyuden Chronicle is physical already, up for pre-order in some websites, maybe in Amazon USA, just not in Mexico. But anyway, most of you are from the USA. Nobody's from Mexico here. Maybe just a couple of people. Yeah. That's my one and only game. Well, East 10. Yeah, East 10, probably. Hopefully I'll get review codes from Trails Through Daybreak and East 10, and I'll be able to play them before they release date so I can review them when they're out. But the Eiyuden Chronicle, I don't know if I'm gonna get a review code. I talked to the people before about it last year, asked them if they could be kind enough to send a review code when the game is up for reviewers. So maybe I'll get it. If I don't, chances are I'll buy the game. Holy shit, really? Grand Blue Fantasy Relink sold 1 million copies? I knew about Persona 3 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Wow, Grand Blue Fantasy selling 1 million copies, that's awesome. It totally deserves it, I think it's a great game. Wow, I didn't know. I don't know how many reviewers or YouTubers made reviews about it, probably a lot. But mine was kind of unsuccessful. So now I know why, because everybody and their mom made reviews about it. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's a great game. Definitely needs more attention. Hopefully we can get one day the first game. It was released on phones, but maybe they can do some kind of port. Or just release the anime again on every streaming service so people can watch the anime and get familiar with the characters and the story in the background and then jump into the games. Both Versus and Relink, which are extraordinary games, by the way. It is available on Amazon US. You mean Eiyuden Chronicle? That's awesome. Yeah, it's not in Mexico. I'm not surprised. Play some JRPGs on your laptop. I used to do that, when I kind of still do. I don't remember the last time I emulated something. I think I was planning a video last year about something and I played something in there. But yeah, I use my laptop for emulators, but I don't use it for PC or Steam or anything of the sort. That surprises me considering all the releases. What? Stupid heart. Can't read. Oh, that surprises you. Yeah, Matt. You're surprised because of Grand Blue, right? I thought you were talking about Eiyuden Chronicle. We're going back and forth between both games. So, yeah, I'm very surprised too. Yakuza, I'm not surprised. It has a shit ton of fans. The first game, I think it sold like 2 or 3 million copies. So, yeah, pretty popular games. Persona 3, I was a little bit surprised. But considering the huge fan base of Persona in this world nowadays, I'm not that surprised. Grand Blue, I'm shocked. 1 million copies, that's just, oh my god, that's awesome. It's an awesome game, guys. I had to quit. I hurt my hand because in the post game, no spoilers. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Well, post games are like this. They get brutally hard, more brutal the more you advance. So I got to a point where I was playing the quests, the boss fights. Well, it's basically God Eater and Monster Hunter. The post game is basically that. It's just boss fight after boss fight over and over and over and over and over again, endlessly. Okay, and because of all the button mashing, I hurt my thumb. It's really bad. And I got pretty late into the post game, and all the bosses were like on extreme difficulty. Not hard, not very hard, no, on extreme difficulty. And I was still winning on normal mode, but man, it was like 10 to 15 minute long fights or 20 minute long fights, and it's just ridiculous, man. I got hurt and I had to quit, and I moved on to an indie RPG that I got recently. It's called Grand Guilds. I'm really enjoying it. What are some of my favorite Yeah, Unicorn Overlord. It's gonna be released also in March. Looking forward to it. What are some of my favorite space themed JRPGs? The Star Ocean series, probably the best one, up there with Xenosaga, the trilogy. I mean, there are others. Relayer, it's one I can think of. Kind of underrated and overlooked. Hidden gem. Nobody paid attention to it when it came out a couple of years ago. That was a great game. It's one of those games that starts kind of slow, but then at the end you're loving it. Pretty good game, pretty space-themed JRPG. Yeah, the Star Ocean series, definitely favorite. And like I mentioned, the Xenosaga trilogy, they all take place in space and different locations in space. What else is there? A certain Tales game. I'm not going to spoil anything. Yeah. Those are some of my favorites. Is it possible having a girlfriend and be an active RPG player? I'm struggling with that. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of girlfriend you hook up with. If your girl doesn't like video games or doesn't like RPGs, yeah, I mean, you're gonna be on your own, I guess. I personally could live with a woman that doesn't even care about video games, as long as we at least share a passion together, maybe music, and then I will slowly get her into video games. Maybe you should do the same, man. When will people admit that Triangle Strategy was the best game of 2022? I don't know, man. Strategy RPGs are the least popular out of the big three subgenres of RPGs. Turn-based action and strategy. Strategy seems to always get the worst treatment. Probably because most strategy RPGs are either very grindy or just straight up complicated, therefore difficult. Maybe, right? I think that's one of the reasons. And a lot of modern gamers probably perceive them as slow and repetitive and boring. Repetitive especially because as much as I love strategy RPGs, let's face it, they are kind of repetitive. I mean, you play a map after map after map after map, and that's all you do, with little to no variety. Whereas in turn-based and action, sometimes you can just walk around towns, talk to people, do side quests, and do different things. And in strategy RPGs, usually not in some of them, but in most of them, you're just like, you get a scene, and maybe you have a base of operations, and you do stuff in there, you prepare for the next mission, rinse and repeat, right? I love that, but I understand why a lot of people can't get into those. It was definitely the best strategy RPG of 2022, definitely. And would I prefer a sequel or prequel set in the Saltrion War? I would prefer a sequel. I think they give you a lot of background on Triangle Strategy, so I don't think a prequel will be necessary in my opinion, so I'm up for a sequel. If you can be with the same characters, it will be great. But you know how people feel about direct sequels, right? They're all like, "Oh, now I gotta play the first game." I call this the Trails, the anti-Trails mentality nowadays. They're like, "Oh, Trails of Cold Steel is a great game. Oh, but I gotta play Trails in this shit." Well, at least Triangle Strategy is available on Switch and PC. It's not on PlayStation, right? No, it isn't. Yeah, Switch and PC. Two places to play it at least. So yeah, a sequel will be better in my opinion. A direct sequel, me personally, I would love to see a direct sequel, me personally. But I know most people will prefer like a standalone sequel. Do you think JRPGs are getting popular? Do you think JRPGs getting popular made them better or worse? Both. Whenever anything in this planet gets popular, you got a lot of ups and downs simultaneously. On one hand, it made them better because now a lot more people know them, a lot more people appreciate them. I mean, we're getting JRPGs that 10 years ago wouldn't even have sold 500,000 copies, and now you're telling me they sold 1 million copies? So there's your answer, right? They got more popular, they got better in terms of popularity. The genre is mainstream nowadays. Sure, a lot of JRPGs still struggle on the mainstream, they are not popular, but games that are popular today weren't popular 20 years ago. I've said this many times before. The Persona series, when Persona 3 came out, sure, it was a success, but it was still pretty much a hidden gem. Nobody knew what the fuck it was, until Persona 4 came out and turned the series more popular, and then Persona 5 exploded, and the rest, right? But yeah, and also in terms of gameplay mechanics and storytelling, it's a mixed bag. I think a lot of companies are trying to create something original, and some have succeeded while others have failed. And there's also a lot of imitation, just like here on YouTube and in movies and series and all the entertainment business. Everybody's ripping everybody off, and JRPGs are no exception. You see a lot of storytelling and a lot of gameplay mechanics that are very similar to other games, and we've seen this before. It's been done to death already. So yeah, so that's kind of like a mixed bag, some good and bad things about it. Some creative and unique ideas, some new proposals are there that are great, and then you got all the other ripoffs that kind of resemble other successful games like Souls or The Witcher, kind of like that, or Fire Emblem. So yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. But it also made them worse because now that it's the genre is mainstream and it's getting a heck of a lot more attention. We talked about this a couple of streams ago. We discussed the fact that they are starting to get political and they're starting to get censored, and there's going to be more censorship, less freedom of free speech in video games, less freedom of choice, free development, free thinking, free creative control, and there's going to be forced inclusion, and there's going to be a lot of political bullshit in there. So in that area, they got worse. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. The fact that JRPGs are more popular nowadays, I think it's a double-edged sword. Anyway, you guys, if I missed your question, ask it again. What games are not considered JRPGs do you think should be considered JRPGs? That's a topic for a video, man. There's a lot of them. Well, some of the Vanillaware games have, for many years, a lot of people don't consider them as RPGs. Okay, Odin Sphere, maybe it's the one, right? I think most people can agree it's an action RPG, period, right? But Dragon's Crown and Muramasa, for example, or 13 Sentinels, a lot of people look at those games and they're like, these are not really RPGs, right? But in my opinion, they should be considered. Maybe not Muramasa. Muramasa is the only one that is arguably not an RPG. It could be argued that it's not, and it kind of doesn't feel like one. It's one of those games. Dragon's Crown and 13 Sentinels, however, do feel like role-playing games to me because you got a lot of the usual aspects and features of JRPGs and characteristics that make them RPGs. Well, that's just my opinion, but I think they should be considered by everybody as role-playing games, but my opinion. Yeah, there's a lot more, man. Could be a good video. 10 games that should be considered as RPGs. I don't think it's gonna get a lot of views, but yeah, it's a good idea. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Probably somebody right now is gonna steal that idea. 3-5 JRPG channels are gonna steal that idea and make it before me. Mark my words. Speaking of action RPGs, about The Witcher 3, how much was your expectations before in your review? In your review, you were like, this is the best Western RPG so far. No, I said that's the best Western RPG that I played so far. I needed to clarify that because I barely played any Western RPGs. I think I've only played like maybe 20 Western RPGs in my entire life, so who the fuck am I to say it's the best out of them all, right? Yeah, it's the best one I played so far, yeah. And my expectations, I said them, I mentioned them in the video. That I had zero expectations, I was bored, that I had nothing better to play, and I was like, okay, I promised I will go back to this game, so let's do this while I wait for Grand Blue Fantasy. And I did it, and well, you watched the video, you saw the result. Well, yeah, my expectations were like freaking low as fuck, man. Do you still think strategy RPGs are dying? No, they tried to revive them, and there was a revival. Square Enix played a big part on that. They released the Diofield Chronicle, Triangle Strategy. I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah, there's been a lot more, and also indie RPGs are trying to revive them. The indie game that I'm playing right now, it's called Grand Guilds. It's a grid-based strategy RPG. It's pretty good, but I don't think the genre is dying. More like it was dying, and now it's trying to be revived by different companies, and I like that. I mean, we got the Unicorn Overlord coming up next month, so that's a good sign. But still, you know, the genre is still kinda not dead, but overlooked and underappreciated nowadays because of the reasons that I mentioned before. What are your thoughts on Ys 5? Is it worth it for an Ys fan to play? No, man, that's the worst Ys game. Up there with Ys Strategy. Ys Strategy on the Nintendo DS. That's garbage. Don't play it. Ys 5 is also bad. It's not that bad, but it's bad. Any version. There's a Super Nintendo version and there's a PS2 version, right? Pick your poison. Do you miss the most experimental era of video games? I mean the 90s? I think video games are still being experimental. Maybe not the AAA. I was saying that a lot of video games are ripping off other successful games and have been doing so for the past 10 years. But I also said that there are a lot of new ideas and experiments out there that have been successful. If you focus on those and pay attention to those, you're going to be like, oh, there's still a lot of experiments being released nowadays. I mean, companies need to experiment more nowadays because of that. Because everything seems to be a copy of a copy of a copy. So yeah, it's hard to find originality nowadays in all entertainment. I'm struggling too here on YouTube, you know. I have a few original series, but I also have a lot of series that I've been doing for many years. But now that everybody started ripping those series off and creating the same videos that I do, it's kind of pointless. So yeah, it's kind of hard even for video game developers or movie makers. Every entertainer out there, you know, needs to find original ideas, and it's kind of hard. And the moment you mention something that might be remotely original, somebody steals that idea. Like right now, these Q&As are dangerous for me. I should never discuss my possible ideas for videos anymore. Yeah, let's do that, because Jesus, I know you're watching, motherfucker, and I know you're gonna steal this idea. Will you? What? Damn, I missed a lot of questions. Will you make a video about Infinite Wealth? I haven't played it. No, well, more like a review? No, I don't think so. I think it's been far too long since the game was released, like 3 weeks. So, no, I don't think so. If I get the game, I don't have the game, but if I get it, I'm not gonna make a review of it. More like I'll include it in the video. I'll talk about it, obviously. Aside from Nier, which RPG do you like that has a non-teenager main character? There's a lot. We've talked about this. Keys, your question is basically, what are some JRPGs with adult protagonists? Like Final Fantasy VII, Lost Odyssey, what else? Tales of Vesperia, maybe. The guy is not exactly what I will call an adult, but he's not a 17-year-old teenager, right? Same with Tales of Arise, Berseria. How old is Velvet? I think she's like 16 or 17, and then there's the time jump, which is like 3 years, right? So she's 19 or 20. Not a teenager anymore, right? But still kind of young. Yeah. Anyway, we've talked about that before, Keith. JRPGs with adult protagonists. What kind of character do you prefer in action RPGs? The speedy type of or the brute big character? I've always said this. I always give preference to fast-paced combat. Therefore, the faster the character, the better. But sometimes the fastest characters in the games are the weakest. Okay? For example, I just reviewed Trials of Mana, the remake, and the fastest character in the game is Hawkeye, the kind of like the thief guy, and he's really fast and really fun to play with, but he also gets killed pretty easily. So I'm more about finding some kind of balance, but I do tend to give preference to fast characters. More like sword characters, or like pretty much double sword characters, you know, or lancers. Sometimes lancers can be pretty fast. Zeta, for example, Zeta in in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. She was my girl in there. I played throughout the whole game with her. As soon as I got her, I played everything with her. Well, except when another character was mandatory, like for the character episodes, the Fate episodes. But yeah, Sarah was a Lancer, but she was fast as fuck, and I loved playing as her. But yeah. So to answer your question, the speedy type, I give preference to the speedy type. Music, damn, Grand Blue Fantasy, right? Why are you not collecting PS5 games? What are you talking about? I am. I'm just kind of slow because right now most PS5 games are kind of expensive, or they are at a price that I don't want to pay. I don't feel comfortable paying, you know. But yeah, I'm still collecting PS5 games. You play one Bethesda game, you played pretty much all of them. What do you think of a Chrono Trigger remake in the Dragon Quest XI style of graphics? 3D, but still keeping the designs in Akira Toriyama style. Will that happen? I don't know. I don't know what Square Enix is planning to do with Chrono Trigger. They gotta do something. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of fan pressure. I think hundreds of thousands of fans are begging for some kind of revival of the game, even if it's just a mere port or a lame remaster or whatever. You know, they need to bring that game back somehow. Now, what do I think if the game was remade with that style of graphics? That would be cool. You know, I think everybody prefers an HD 2D remake like Octopath Traveler, you know, like Star Ocean 2 did. I will prefer that, you know, but Chrono Trigger with Dragon Quest XI graphics, I'm not complaining, man. That would be a great idea too. What's your favorite JRPG of this year? You mean like so far? Oh man, I've only played I'm gonna play what? I've only played one? Yeah, and that's Grand Blue Fantasy. So that. Haven't played Persona 3 Reload. Haven't played Yakuza Infinite Wealth. What else has been released? Do you like Souls-like games? Not really. The only one that I like is Code Vein. But all the others that I tried, including Dark Souls, Bloodborne, you know, I couldn't get into them. Bloodborne was great, but I couldn't get into it. You think it's time to start collecting for the PS4? Hell yeah. I think the time to collect for the PS4 started last year, and we're still on it. Yeah, definitely a good time to start collecting. Anyway, so Stellar Blade had a controversy where there were people that criticized the main character. Yeah, we talked about in the last Q&A that some girls that worked on the game were fired, and they complained about it on Twitter and blah blah blah. You know, yeah. We don't want to give them attention. Don't let it get to you, man. I watch your videos because I like how you put things. I myself do a game review every week. Oh, you're a game reviewer? That's awesome. You know, I've always wanted to make reviews. I make reviews, but I've always wanted to make them more often. And hell, I mean, review a game, even if nobody cares about it, just review it. You know, but I've said this before, there's barely any views and there's barely any money. And I would love to do whatever the fuck I want in this channel, but I can't. And I gotta stick to the content that I want to do and that I like doing, but that's also what you guys want to watch, right? One thing is just as important as the other. I can't do content that I don't like just because others like it. I could go out there and be like other channels out there, like chase the trends, review every new game, and make videos about it, and pretty much capitalize on everything that's trending in the JRPG world. That's not me, man, and that's not what I want to do. I want to capitalize on the things that interest me and that I like, but also as long as you like them. So yeah, I'd love to sit down and just write reviews, but that's not gonna work, unfortunately. Heck, I mean, I know for a fact maybe an Eternal Poison review will succeed, but if I go out there and I make a Noninaki review in 2024, no one's gonna give a fuck. Or Grand Guilds, I'm playing Grand Guilds. So the best thing to do with those types of games is include them in top 10s or in top 5s, like the one that I just released a couple of days ago. But yeah, people stealing ideas, I mean, we're all influenced by everything, you know. Some of my ideas have been influenced by other channels, right? And I've also done videos that were like based on an idea that's generic, that everybody and their mom has done it, you know. So I know what it's like. It's just I wish people tried at least to be more creative, you know, and come up with their own ideas instead of just stealing everything from everybody. Anyway, what's your favorite JRPG of the year? So, I already answered that. Yeah. Do you think we'll ever get a new mainline Final Fantasy game with turn-based combat? No, I don't think so. Who is your waifu in Persona 3? Aegis. Well, she's a robot. You can't really... Well, it's kind of weird, right? So I guess I'm gonna have to go with Mitsuru. Thank you, CB Ross. Thanks a bunch, man. The donation. Nintendo DS prices are getting out of hand. What's your most precious JRPG for the DS? Precious? As in my holy grail? I don't think I have a lot of expensive ones. Oh, they're back there. Yeah. I don't have a single one that's like crazy expensive a la Soda to Robo or Sense of Destruction or Endless Frontier. You know, those are the big guns. I don't have a single one. I have Radiant Historia sealed. I don't know how much that goes for. I have Devil Survivor, the first one. I have Dragon Quest VI. That's the PAL version though. Remember the Nintendo DS is region free. So you can play PAL games on your North American DS or 3DS. But I don't know how much that goes for nowadays. I don't have a single like really expensive DS JRPG. Yeah, and they're getting out of hand. They've been getting out of hand for the past couple of years. Starting to get ridiculous, right? To be a reviewer has to be very hard. It is very hard, you know, it is. Writing the scripts is like really hard, but you get used to it. I've done it for years. But my first reviews were like all over the place. Go and watch them. You can watch my old reviews anytime. If you know Spanish, you can watch my reviews in Spanish. All of them are there in my channel Discusión Gamer. And man, just watch one of those reviews and compare it to my recent reviews, and you'll see the difference, right? So right now, reviewing games is not hard for me, but because I'm used to it. But back then was tough as nails. Like, what the fuck am I gonna say about this game? And how am I gonna say it? And what am I gonna talk about first? The story, the gameplay? Yeah, practice makes you better, of course, but it is hard to review video games or anything. Have you already played? But then again, everybody is a reviewer nowadays of everything. We've already played the English patch Trails Through Daybreak. No, I'm gonna wait for the official release date. Do you play Zelda games? Nope, not a fan. You still can't hear what? Music? Oh, okay, so it's just you. Yeah, music fine, right? That's why I like your content, no BS. Oh yeah. Fortunately, YouTube wants you to make bullshit. Behave, obedient bullshit. That's what they favor nowadays. But yeah, I'm true to myself, and I don't know, man. I don't think I can ever censor myself that much or do content that's not what I really want to do. I don't know. Anyway, do you think these remakes and remasters like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Persona 3 Reload are lazy cash grabs to cash in nostalgia and hamper the original game's source material? Yes, pretty much. But, you know, I'll give you this. The good thing about a remake and a remaster, the good thing about both is that they're bringing back an old game. And some of these games, not all of them, some of these games are inaccessible. They are kind of expensive and hard to find, and they're kind of exclusive to some systems. So yeah, I like remakes and remasters, but for the sake of bringing the games back to not precisely to a modern audience, but to today's audience. Today's audience is just as well you and me, right? And kids and all ages, right? But yeah, I think a lot of people, no matter their age or generation, are too lazy to go back, or they don't have money to buy a PSP for example, and get the game physical because it's expensive, right? It's just better to wait for a remaster. But yeah, I mean, they are capitalizing on nostalgia. That's what they're doing. And instead of focusing on new games, all they do is focusing on the last games, trying to bring them back. So there's both good things and a good side and a bad side to that. Yeah, that's my answer. Thanks a bunch, Nemo Propaganda. Have you read the 3 Body Problem books or anything by that author? No. Never. I can't even pronounce that name. That Chinese name? I don't even want to pronounce that name. But no, haven't read the books by that author. 3 Body Problem books. So what are those? What are they like? What are they about? What's up with those? Thank you, Qrec, or is it Qrec 12? Thanks a bunch. If you were the oh, spoilers? Oh, okay, so I'm not gonna read that. You have a stupid fun game you like to play to kill time? Plants vs. Zombies. Always, forever and ever. Yeah, Plants vs. Zombies, man. Thank you, Make Foxhound. Oh, make Foxhound great again. Huh. What's Foxhound? You've been a fan for a long time, and I've always wanted to ask that. I'm like, what the hell is Foxhound? Anyway, thanks for your comment, man. Have you even tried Morrowind? Yeah, I did. I played Morrowind, and I played Skyrim. Got bored. Very, very bored. Only 50k to 100,000? What are you talking about? I mean, like 500, right? What am I now, at 500? I have like 99, 500, right? 500 and something. Yeah, almost there. Foxhound is from Metal Gear. Oh, okay. No wonder I didn't know. Do you think the PS Vita died too early? Well, that's a... I'm gonna have to open Pandora's box here. But yeah, I think it died too early. Obviously, everybody knows it's because Sony killed it. I think the two biggest problems with the PS Vita is that number one, it was kind of hard to develop games for it, especially AAA games. And two, the memory card problem. That was a huge problem that killed the Vita. It was too expensive. You could only back then. Later, you know, the Vita got hacked and everybody started using SD cards and blah blah blah. But during its first years, nobody could do that. You know, you were stuck with buying the memory card by Sony, which was freaking expensive. And every single major game was like 5 gigabytes long, 3, 4, 5, and the memory cards was like 8 gigabytes. So you could only install 2 fucking games in there. So if it died too early, yes, did it die too early? Yes, it did. But it's Sony's fault, you know, they fucked it up. They fucked it up themselves. They have no one to blame but themselves for trying to fight piracy in such an expensive and crucifying way. I understand they were trying to fight piracy, but come on, man. And well, the Vita became such an easily hackable console after a few years that all their efforts were for nothing. Yeah, man, long live the PS Vita. I love it. My favorite portable system of all time. But, you know, it's just... Sony fucked the Vita themselves. They got no one else to blame. It's not like they can blame other companies or third-party... If it didn't get that much third-party support... Well, in fact, third-party support kind of saved the Vita from ultimate oblivion and ultimate failure, right? But... Still, it failed. Yeah, there were some great things about the Vita, and as soon as they realized their mistakes with the Vita, their fatal flaws, they abandoned it. They abandoned all support for it, and that was heartbreaking. You know, they could have made it better. They could have fixed those problems and pretty much amend their mistakes, right? And they didn't. Instead, they were like, fuck it, let's move on. Yeah. Microsoft already has monopolized gaming? Really? More like politics are slowly trying to monopolize gaming. The liberals, man. The evil liberals. Well, if it's not one wing, it's the other, right? If it's not the conservatives, it's the liberals. It's always one of either. Tales of Legendia needs a remaster. Have you heard Sweet Baby Inc. has Square Enix as their client? Sweet Baby is helping push companies put woke shit in their games. I just said so. You know, liberals control the entertainment industry nowadays. The angry only in Japan RPG video game nerd is back. When the hell did I go away? Of course I'm back. I don't like that song from Pitch Shifter. You know that song, right? It's called Shut Down by Pitch Shifter. Super popular band. Everybody's a fan of it. They probably don't know who the fuck I'm talking about. Well, it's the song, the chorus says, we'll talk about getting shut down, and the more I get shut down, I'll get back up again. Of course I'm back, motherfucker. Pitch Shifter, man, that's a great band. One of the most influential bands in the industrial rock metal scene. Up there with Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, Gary Newman, Killing Joke, Godflesh. Not really a fan of Godflesh, but then again, I've never really listened to them. I need to sit down and really listen to them. Do you think there'll ever be a 3DS and PS Vita successor? Well, the Switch is basically the 3DS successor, so there's that. PS Vita successor, weren't there some rumors last year? There are still going on this year that Sony's working on another portable system, so maybe we'll see a successor. So yeah, the answer is yes. Michael P, thanks a bunch for your comments, man. Do you prefer games where you can do things other than the story? Or do you like sitting in a minecart on a railroad track? Very linear games. I like both. You know, I don't have a preference. Song sounds familiar though. Well, there's the name of the song is there. It's there. That's the Grand Blue Fantasy Relink host. Do you want me to make it bigger? Oh, most of you are probably watching on your phones. Well, sorry, I'm not gonna make it bigger. Go and watch me on a computer. What time periods are underrepresented in JRPGs? Well, the thing about time periods is that JRPG story writers and or developers always take a lot of liberties. Like, I just reviewed Banner of the Maid, and it takes place during the French Revolution, and of course they took a lot of liberties. For instance, the biggest liberty they took is that Pauline Bonaparte, the main character, I mean, she was never a soldier and she didn't fight on any war whatsoever, so that's pretty much taking a huge liberty in there. But we all know, we've been playing JRPGs for years, we already know they take a lot of liberties. They mix a lot of fantasy and fiction with non-fiction and historical facts. So there, at least it's fantasy, right? I mean, at least it's fiction. It's well-intended, not ill-intended fiction. Unlike entertainment nowadays, people, you know, all these woke bitches trying to change history for no fucking reason, even though that never happened. Okay, at least JRPG developers aren't trying to change real historical facts. What are the chances that Sony's portable system will be a Switch copy? I don't know, man. I hope they don't do that. But the Vita was... Okay, the PS Vita was not like that, but you could play your PS Vita games on your PS3 and PS4, right? Every now and then. With some games, there was like a cross-save feature. That was the term. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sony will rip off Nintendo. Like, seriously. What else can they do? Thank you, Eve IB. Thanks for the donation. What are your favorite JRPG world maps? Damn. You know, I really like world maps when they're easy to traverse, when they have no random encounters, and when they're like beautifully looking. I don't really care that much about the graphics, but the point of an overworld is to admire all the graphics from like a big point of view, right? I like that. Someone saying Final Fantasy IX. Yeah, I guess it's well, you're saying that because of the music. And this guy is not asking the music, he's just asking about the design of the world maps themselves, not the music. If we're talking about the music, oh come on, yeah, Final Fantasy IX has one of the best overworld themes of all time. Near Gestalt 2, of course, right? But the design, well, Xenoblade. Someone saying Xenoblade. That's it's sort of like an open world game. I guess, yeah, it counts. It needs to count, right? But I also think that's also like cheating, because that's like 80% of the game, the world map, right? I don't know. I think it's just better to focus on games that were like traditional style, where you just go from town to town or dungeon and dungeon, and there's an overworld in between, a small overworld in between those areas. I think that's what my donator is asking. Yeah. So surprisingly, none of the Final Fantasy games, to be honest. Super Mario RPG has a really good one, but it's menu based. You don't traverse it manually. It's just there. It's pretty looking. It's good though, you know. But I think I prefer the classic overworld map. But it's hard to find some overworlds that don't have random encounters from back in the day. It's hard. But yeah, kind of a hard question to answer. I had to choose one. In terms of interface and menu-based interface, it will be Odin Sphere. Fucking beautiful game. Obviously, the world map is beautiful. Well, somebody already said Super Mario RPG. What else? I guess, well, the Shin Megami Tensei 5 world map was kind of thematic. Well, it's also kind of small, open world-ish, right? So, oh man, what else is there? Traditional overworld world map. I guess I will go with. No, this one has a lot of random encounters. Shit. Oh man. Oh, there's gotta be one. Valkyrie Profile is also menu based, but I mean, in the first Valkyrie Profile, you could like fly and watch all the world from above, from the skies, and fly around to every location. It wasn't pretty looking. I mean, the feeling was awesome that you were flying with Lenneth, and the music, oh my god, right? But the graphics down there looked kind of bland and boring, so that can't be my answer. Damn. The Suikoden games because of the music, but there's also random encounters, so no. Damn. Hard question, man. I don't think I can choose a favorite right now. I like trying to piece all the Suikoden maps together in my head. Yeah, man. I used to do the same. I think I remember the first time I played Suikoden 2, I got this close of drawing the map. But I didn't do that, of course. But yeah, I get what you're saying. This song from Fallen Legion sounds similar to Knights of Azure. Yeah, this is Black Shrouds. Great soundtrack, man. A phenomenal fucking soundtrack. It's too loud though. Everything's been too loud for the past couple of songs. Oh, there. Speaking about Suikoden, we were just talking about Suikoden. The computer who's spying on me all the time said, "Oh, they're bringing up Suikoden. We gotta do something about Suikoden." It's like playing an ad. You talk about a product, and all of a sudden you get an ad about that product, especially on your phones. Damn, nowadays everything's spying. Remember when, back in 2016 or 17, when there was like an uproar? People were bitching about it and so against this that companies wanted to spy on us, and now everybody spies on us. Yeah. There's always some kind of fight, some kind of lame-ass activism against something to prevent something to happen, and years later it ends up happening anyway, and nobody gives a fuck anymore. Humans. Chrono Cross, the overworld. Yes, you're right, but it's too small, don't you think? I mean, it's too small. I love the overworld of Chrono Cross, don't take me wrong, and it's beautiful. And you can walk around at your pace with no random encounters. But I think it's too small. Baten Kaizo is also beautiful. Fucking beautiful graphics in there. Ni no Kuni. Oh, yeah. I don't like Ni no Kuni. I'm not a fan of the game. But, oh man, yeah. The overworld was like gorgeous. Ni no Kuni 2 also had a gorgeous looking overworld, but Ni no Kuni 1 was more special. Yeah. Which Persona game had the best music? Alright, so I had that question before, and I didn't answer it because I couldn't decide. But if I had to decide like right now, at gunpoint, it will be Persona 2 Innocent Sin. Definitely. I'm a metalhead, right? I mean, I love metal. The harder, the better. I know Persona 3, 4, and 5 have killer soundtracks. Persona 5, oh my god. But I don't know, man, Persona 2 is just, man. Innocent Sin. Not Eternal Punishment. Innocent Sin. Some absolutely killer tracks in there, man. I think it's the best soundtrack, in my opinion. Should I play Flames of Eternity before Cross? What the hell is Flames of Eternity? The Vaush controversy? I've never heard of it. It's better too small than too large and full of copy-pasted areas and assets. Yeah, that's what I was saying about Xenoblade, or somebody was bringing up somebody brought another map that I was like, no. What was like Phantasy Star 4? Okay, Dragon Quest 11. It wasn't exactly menu-based. You could just go around. The Trails series, for example, some of the Tales games, they overuse the same assets for certain areas, even if they do look different. Yeah, I was saying, man, I like smaller overworlds too, but I kind of like the thematic of visiting a specific area in an overworld that's small and easy to traverse, instead of the open world shenanigans we get nowadays with almost every JRPG. So yeah, I mean, I love Trails and I love Tales, but I'll take the Chrono Cross world map any day over any of those. Do you prefer male or female protagonist for Persona 3? Well, because it's a dating game and I'm a straight guy, I prefer the male protagonist, of course. It would be weird for me to choose the girl and bond and date a guy. That would be weird for me, you know. So male. Although sometimes in a lot of JRPGs I choose the girl, but because I want to look at her, right? But yeah, when the game has a dating sim, I prefer a guy, obviously. Persona 3 has the best soundtrack of all time. Okay. Which RPG has the best female bosses? Oh my god. I don't know, man. Usually the best epic boss fights are like monsters. And you don't even know what their gender is. Oh man, I don't know why some of the how about Valkyrie Profile, especially the second one? You fight Freya, and that's an epic boss fight. You also fight Christ. What else? Well, speaking about Grand Blue Fantasy, there's a couple of epic boss fights against female characters in Versus, not in Relink, in Versus, which are freaking epic. The fight against oh my god, I forgot the name. Oh my god. Well, anyway, yeah, that's an epic boss fight. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus has some phenomenal boss fights, man. Some epic boss fights. Even if they're just 2D, they're epic. What else? Well, you can't beat Beatrix. The couple of boss fights against Beatrix in Final Fantasy IX. You can't beat her, and they're pretty much like scripted boss fights. They're unwinnable battles, but they're so epic, man. I don't know why. Those are some of my favorite parts of Final Fantasy IX. When you fight Beatrix and she beats the crap out of you with her skill. With her sword skill, like she smashes on the ground and everybody dies, man. That's awesome. Yeah. Yunalesca? Yeah, I wonder why you're saying that. Oh, man. Interesting boss fight. Vaush is a famous far-left political streamer. Oh, okay. I don't give a fuck about far-left people, man. Or far-right. Oh, I know you don't like mobile games. No, I don't. Have you played Spectrobes on the 3DS? They weren't released on the 3DS. They were released on the original Nintendo DS. And then there was one on the Wii. The one on the Wii is pretty good. Great music, great combat, and good graphics. Pretty good game. But the Nintendo DS ones, I don't know, man. They aren't bad. They are not bad games, but they're kind of lame. They're kind of like meh. They're okay. The Wii one is better. Freya in God of War was a badass. Well, I was talking about Freya from Valkyrie Profile. She's an even bigger and sexier badass. Of course, I'm a man of culture. What's your opinion about Mario vs. Donkey Kong? It was released last Friday for Switch. Haven't played it. I played the original versions, obviously the Donkey Kong games. And I also played one on the Nintendo DS, which was kind of fun. Not the best game, but it was fun. Thank you, Marcelo. Thanks for the amazing videos. Well, thanks for watching them, man. Thanks for the donation. Have you played Crosscode or Transistor? Yeah, I've covered the games a couple of times in this channel. Crosscode, I couldn't get into it after a while. I put like 5 or 6 hours into it, and the puzzles just destroyed it for me. Not because the puzzles were hard, but because there were just way too many puzzles, man. Way too fucking many puzzles, and I got tired of it. But great game, though. I really like the game. Take away the puzzles or reduce the amount of puzzles, and the game is one of the best indie RPGs ever. Transistor, though, was very hard to get into. I never finished it. I liked its ideas. I liked its complexity. I liked its story and characters. But the battle system was just so complicated, man. So convoluted. Pretty hard game to get into. But it's a good game. Pretty original game. Best game for you that has nothing to do with RPGs or JRPGs? Well, some of my all-time favorites are Plants vs. Zombies, Plague Tale, the Little Nightmares games. Massive fan of both games. Those are among my favorites non-RPG games ever. Some fighting games. I can't choose a Persona fighting games because they have something to do with JRPGs, right? So I guess I'm gonna have to choose the Blaze Blue games. The original Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat Ultimate, Super Mario World, how can I forget that? That's a masterpiece, I fucking love it. The Metal Slug games, all of them. I like all of them. I like all Metal Slug games. I know the first one is a big fan favorite, but it's my least favorite of them all. But still, it's a phenomenal game. I love Metal Slug. Yeah, there we go. Alice Madness Returns, another great game. Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, great game. Environmental puzzles, I'm a big fan, man. Shady Part of Me, oh my god, it's become one of my favorite video games of all time nowadays. I fucking loved it. Environmental puzzle. Yeah, we could go on. Hope that answers your question. When are you gonna play PC and mobile exclusive JRPGs? PC someday, mobile never. Now that Microsoft is open to publishing their games on other platforms, I hope they release Lost Odyssey on PS5 and Switch. Oh yeah! Yeah! Lost Odyssey on PS5, holy shit, shut up and take my money. The sphere puzzles in Final Fantasy X can go to hell. They can go to fucking hell, man. I agree with you there. Oh my god. The puzzles in Golden Sun and The Lost Age, they can kiss my fucking Mexican ass, man. Damn. Dig Dog is the shit. The music in Dig Dog is awesome. Have you played the Klonoa action RPG on Game Boy Advance? It's got a fan translation recently. No, I love Klonoa. I played the original PS1 versions and I played the demo of the remasters. Man, thanks for reminding me. I've been trying to hunt down the remasters. Let's see how much they go for nowadays. I'd like to have the PS5 version, but the Switch version is just fine. Klonoa. Let's just write Klonoa and see all versions. Oh, it's getting cheaper, man. $30 for the PS5 version. It's a good price. Good price. Probably get it. Gollum is like $20. Gollum. Trine got a physical release on PC. Klonoa, great games, man. Did you play Street Fighter 2 Turbo? Yeah, I played all versions. Turbo, Super Street Fighter 2, all of them. And yeah, the Turbo and the Super are better versions with more characters and shit, but I grew up with the original vanilla version. That's the one that I appreciate the most. But yeah, once I played Super Street Fighter and I saw Kami, I was like, that's when the manning culture in me began, I think. It kind of started with Chun-Li, but Kami was like, I can't believe there's a character dressed like that in a video game for kids. That's awesome. Oh, man. Most Resident Evils are badass boulder punching times. Fuck, you know, the main reason why I'm a big fan of the original games, I played the shit out of them back in the day. But then I played the remake on the GameCube many years ago, the puzzles killed it. And then I went back to it on the remaster on the PS4. There's a collection with both the remake and Origins. And I played it enthusiastically, and the puzzles killed it. I was like, oh man. Yeah, have you heard about Bagdex? It's a Brazilian Pokemon-like. I'm not interested in Pokemon or in any Pokemon-like games, so no. Do you have any plans to write another book? I was just talking about that with a friend this morning, and you bet your ass I am. Probably this year. I'm between two stories. Both are gonna be politically incorrect as fuck, and you bet your ass I'm going to attack all politics, all modern politics nowadays in those books. But I need to decide which story I want to write the most. Yeah, a new book is definitely happening this year, man. Even if I don't publish it or finish it this year, I'm writing it this year. Oh man, what Switch game should I get before they are out of print? I have no idea. Can I jump straight into Death End Request 2 without playing 1? You can, but you're gonna get big spoilers of the first game. So up to you, man. It's like the Trails games. You know, they have different protagonists and shit, but they spoil the heck out of you. You're gonna get spoiled. So the answer is, can I jump? Yes, you can, but do you want to? Up to you. I wouldn't do that if I were you, but up to you. Klonoa PS5 version is like 170 SEK now, about $17. Oh, in your country, not in mine. This is Mexico. Everything is more expensive in Mexico because fuck second and third world countries, right? Will you play a Sonic the Hedgehog JRPG that's actually good if Sega made it? I probably would. Some American studio made an attempt on the Nintendo DS. It was called the Dark Brotherhood and it was fucking horrible. But yeah, I will play a Sonic JRPG if it's good and if Sega makes it. Make a book called Square Enix Sucks My Grit. Is playing Torna before Xenoblade 2 worth the time? Yes, Torna is after all a prequel to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So yeah, I actually, yeah, that's what I did. I played Torna first and then Xenoblade 2. Yeah, no problem, I don't see the problem. Some people might disagree with that statement, but I don't see the problem. I think it's a good idea to play Torna first. Canada is pretty expensive for games. I don't know anymore. When I was there, that was definitely not the case. When I was there, I got pretty much 30% of my collection, I got it from Canada. And man, the prices were awesome back then. But then COVID-19 happened and you know the rest. Did you play Fantasian? Nope. Haven't played it. I hope the game comes to consoles one day, and if it does, you bet your ass I'll play it. I'm still a fan of Hironobu Sakaguchi, despite the things that I've said about him. Mexico is a second world country, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I know that. That's why I said second world countries and third world countries can go to hell. Yeah, it's a second world country. It's considered as such. Even though 70% of the country is poor. Do you think there should be another East vs Trails game like the one on the PSP with all the characters from Crossbell, Cold Steel, and Daybreak? Yes, and developed by Arc System Works, please. Or Psy Games, the developers of Grand Blue. Either of those two companies, man. Or even Aqua Plus. They made some really good fighting games. Yes, I think there should be another fighting game. I want a fighting game based on everything. A fighting game based on Shin Megami Tensei, a fighting game based on Fire Emblem, fighting game based on Tales, fighting game based on East vs Trails. Yes, I know there's a fighting game based on Tales, but it's kind of lame on the PSP, only in Japan. Yeah, man. You think it's worth $70 for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink just for the main story? No, the main story is you can beat the main story in 15 hours. Trust me, those are 15 hours very well spent. But to be honest, I cannot recommend you paying that much money for a game like that. For any game, actually. I wouldn't pay $70 for any video game in existence, man. Well, I kind of did for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and Shin Megami Tensei 5 because I needed them for the review. I made the reviews, I made money, got my money back by talking about the games in other videos. So, you're not a reviewer, I think. You're just spending $70 in just entertainment alone. I wouldn't do that. But up to you. It's your money. And I strongly recommend Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, but I wouldn't pay that much for it. Or for any game. Mexico is now the 12th largest economy in the world? Seriously? It surpassed Spain, South Korea, and Australia? When did that happen? I mean, I have noticed that since last year that one of the reasons why the US dollar went down in Mexico, sadly for me, thankfully for a lot of other Mexicans, I know one of the reasons my dad told me is that there's a lot of investors here trying to invest here. They don't want to invest in the USA. They want to invest here, right? So I'm not surprised that Mexico is growing economically, but if it's considered as the 12th largest economy in the world, wow, that's crazy, man. That's just fucking crazy. A fighting game based on Final Fantasy. Oh wait, yeah, there's 3 of them. They're okay. The third one wasn't good. The first 2 are okay-ish. They're okay. I don't like Dissidia, right? I'm not a fan, but they were okay. I don't know about the Tales of Symphonia remaster. It's not a remake. It's just an enhanced port, a remaster, not a remake. What's a remake? Final Fantasy VII remake that's a remake. Super Mario RPG, Star Ocean: The Second Story. When you remake the game from scratch, you make a brand new game. Symphonia was just a simple remaster, and I read some bad things about it. I haven't played it, so I don't have an opinion, but the reviews were kind of harsh. Why does Xbox have no JRPG exclusives anymore? Good question, I have no idea. Probably because they learned a lesson on the Xbox 360 that it wasn't a good idea to make JRPG exclusives for a console no one cares about. No RPG gamer cares about. So, that's my theory. Are they interested in Mexico because of the Trump effect? Who knows? I have no idea, man. Do you think the PS5 is doomed? Sony said they aren't releasing first-party games till 2025, and they said the PS5 is entering its last stage of life. I didn't know that. I just saw a couple of videos. I didn't watch those videos, but the title said something similar to what you're saying, and I don't know why. That's just weird. I mean, why will they kill off the PS5 so soon? I mean, it was just released less than 3 years ago. 3 and 4 months. So that's just fucking crazy, man. That's just crazy. I don't know why they're doing that. Have you played Valkyrie Fight? Yeah, it's good. Actually, it's a fan-made game, right? It's not one of those only in Japan games. I think that's a fan-made game. Yeah, it's good. I liked it. I played it for a bit and I liked it. But then again, I don't really like playing on the computer, so kind of gave up on it too soon. We don't want to talk about that, Donsk, but we all know the truth about the United States of America. Everybody in the world, actually. Why are Switch versions of games so expensive? Because fucking Nintendo, man. I think first and foremost because I think it's more expensive to create a cartridge than a disc. I could be crazy though. And also because fucking Nintendo, man. Do you think the 7th generation PS3 and Xbox 360 was the worst era for JRPGs? No. I think the worst era for JRPGs was the 3rd generation. NES. Because there were barely any, and most of them were kind of hard to play and get into, even back then. Yeah, they're classics and they laid the basis for all the JRPGs we love nowadays, right? But it was a really rough era for the genre. It was just beginning. It was just in its earliest stages. I think that's the worst era for JRPGs. And then the second generation, well, there were no JRPGs in there. There were RPGs, just not JRPGs. No. On the 2nd generation, no. The oldest JRPGs appeared on the NES era in computer systems from the 3rd generation. Or maybe they were on the 2nd generation, but the NES was already out. I mean, the 3rd generation was just starting, right? Anyway, or one could argue that we are slowly entering the worst era of JRPGs, the worst generation because of all the political bullshit. But I don't know. I love the PS3/360 era. Sure, it was a little bit weaker than the PS2 era, or PS1, or PS4 even, but call it the worst. Calling it the worst, I don't know, man. I mean, I love that era. The PS5 probably has the weakest library for any PlayStation console next to PS3. Well, yeah. We need more, but it's only 3 years old. Give it some time, man. It's kind of harsh to say that about a console that's only 3 years old, don't you think? I mean, give it more years. I know we're all sick of Persona 5, but would you play a Persona 5 arena game? Yes, I would. Definitely. I want a Persona 5 fighting game. I want to beat the crap out of everybody with Makoto as my fighter. As my playable character, I want to beat the shit out of everybody with her. Trying to forget Valkyrie Elysium exists. Well, good luck. It does, and it's never gonna go away. Oh man. I played the demo, and that's all I need to play. I don't think it's a bad game though. But it's just insulting. I'm a big Valkyrie Profile fan and they gave us that fucking thing. I mean, come on. I don't care for it. I want Valkyrie Profile 3 or GTFO. Simple as that. Developed by Tri-Ace. Not by some weird-ass woke company. No fucking way. Tri-Ace or GTFO. They can keep giving us any fucking spin-off they want. I'm never gonna give a shit again. Unless they give us a spin-off that is turn-based, I will go back to it maybe. I will appreciate it, but Elysium can kiss my ass. What's your thoughts about nostalgia? Well, I think there's a lot of capitalism based on it, especially nowadays. But as you grow older, you can't help it. You know, that's why the older you get, the more nostalgic you get. It's a natural course of human behavior. We're all like that. This morning I woke up feeling very nostalgic about my role-playing era from 2008 and 2011. Those 3 years when I was writing stories with other people and playing with them, and that was like every fucking single day, all night long. Sometimes, you know, that was awesome. Sure, there were a lot of dramas and a lot of bad things about that too, but there are also a lot of great things about it, and I was very nostalgic about it. So. Yeah, man, the older you can't help it. The older you get, the more nostalgic you start feeling about certain things in life. If the current marketing boom for JRPGs don't yield enough benefit, then they might start keeping things in Japan again. Well, Persona 3 Reload sold over 1 million copies in just a few weeks. Same with Yakuza Like a Dragon Part 2. And then Grand Blue Fantasy. Yeah. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, at least not now. What will happen once the best JRPG developers in the world die? We already lost the Suikoden creator, sadly. Yeah, I talked about that like an hour ago. But Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen. There are some young developers that are pretty damn good, you know, but I don't know what's gonna happen when all the big guns die. Sakaguchi, Kato, Takahashi. Hell, I don't want to know what's gonna happen with Xenoblade if Takahashi dies, or Soraya, his wife. I don't know what's gonna happen. Would you ever play a JRPG game in VR? Yeah, as long as it's not in first person. Yeah, I remember playing Nier Automata on VR, just because you could. There were no actual VR options for the game back then, but we played it on a VR and it was awesome. Yeah, I'd love to play. I don't have a VR yet, but I'd love to play some games on VR. But you know, it's just sitting around having that thing on your head for like 2 hours. I don't know, man. But yeah, I will play it. You're crazy, man. You have a big collection. 400 games on PS3, 600 on PS1. That's just crazy, man. Well, that's awesome at the same time. You should make a video about your collection. Would you get paid to play a JRPG in VR? I'll just answer that I will play it, money or not. Do you think Metaphor can be the game of the year? I have no idea. Let's just wait to see how it turns out to be. I fear it might be politicized, but we'll see what happens. Do you think it will be a bigger success than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? No, I don't think so. No one's gonna ever beat Square Enix in success. They are the biggest fucking company. And when it comes to JRPGs, what are your thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3? Didn't like it. You wanna know why I didn't like it? Because I didn't play it. Haven't played it, man. Haven't played Chained Echoes yet either. Do you think Nier Automata wouldn't be popular if it wasn't for 2B's sexy character design? Yeah. I think it will still be popular, just not that popular. Obviously the sexualization played a big fucking role in that game. Obviously. No one can deny that. And if they do, they're fucking out of their minds, man. You know, the sexiness catapulted Nier Automata into a huge mainstream commercial success. We all know that. If 2B had been a guy, or had been, you know, your average girl, it will still have been successful because it's such a great game with great action, music, and everything else. And the story was fucking amazing. But I don't think it would have been that successful. Do you think the Girl Lancer series suffered the worst from only in Japan? No, I think what happened with Girl Lancer is that Atlus USA back in the day was kinda poor and didn't have a lot of money to advertise games in the West, so of course the most obscure ones failed and the series died. I don't think the only in Japan effect have played a big role in Girl Lancer's death. What's your opinion about Bravely Default 2? I only played the demo and it's good, I like it, I do recommend it. Do you know young game producers like Sakaguchi or Takahashi for the baton pass in creating games in the future? I don't know their names, but there's a lot of indie developers that are pretty damn good. And a lot of games that have been released recently. I think a lot of young people worked in Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, for example. And they also worked a lot in Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. So there's your answer. I forget their names now. I haven't seen that much from these young developers in order to memorize their names like I do with the big ones like Yoshiharu Gotanda, Toshihiro Kondo and stuff. You know, I've known those guys for decades, right? That's why I know their names. What about Atelier Ryza? Ryza had that much of a thigh gap. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Obviously, Ryza's popularity, part of it is also thanks to that, because of the sexiness and the memes. Do you have a favorite unusual experimental video game soundtrack? Let me think. Well, the Persona games are kind of experimental. You got these different genres mixed into them, but I think I know what you mean. Like the weird music, right? Like, what the hell is this? What am I listening to? But it's good. There's gotta be something out there. I can't think of anything right now. There's gotta be at least one soundtrack that is like that. Fucking weird and unusual. But it's good at the same time. I don't know, man. Shadow Hearts has a lot of that. I'm not sure. But yeah. You know what? How about Lost Dimension? It's not that unique and experimental because it's mostly techno-ish, but it's kind of weird too, and I like it a lot. Drakengard's kind of weird too. Yeah, it's fucking weird. Yeah, you're right, it's fucking weird, but I'm not the biggest fan of the game or its soundtrack. Yeah. This song from Grandia 1 is kind of weird. Like, what the hell is this? Fucking weird, man. Grandia died because of its developer dying? No. That played a role. Yes, that's true. One of its two developers, the Takahashi brothers, right? One of them died. And that played a big role in Grandia's demise. But I don't think that's the main reason why it died. It just died because Grandia 3 wasn't very successful. And Square Enix said, fuck it. They had the rights to the series and the name. And they said, oh, it wasn't successful? To hell with it. Square Enix killed Grandia, in my opinion. Legend of Legacy has a pretty interesting soundtrack. Yeah, speaking about Legend of Legacy, the remaster is coming out in a couple of months, I think. Or no, will be released in March, yeah. I'm getting a copy of it. Hopefully, you know, my biggest fear with Legend of Legacy is that it's not a great game. It failed for a reason back on the 3DS, and there was a lot of problems with it, so I don't know if the remaster will have those problems fixed, or at least some of them. We'll see what happens, but if it's the same game, just with upscaled graphics, it's gonna fail again. It wasn't a great game, it wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't a great game back then, so hopefully they fix some of these issues. What are those issues? First and foremost, the whole point of the game is to complete the maps. To complete them, you gotta walk on every goddamn corner of every single location. And it's a pain in the ass because, one, it's naturally a pain in the ass. The idea sounds crazy. And two, even if it wasn't crazy, the amount of encounters killed it. There are no random encounters, you can see the enemies, but it's so, in the original version, it was so fucking hard to escape from them. You run just a little and they chase after you, and they reach you in like 2 seconds. Horrible decision. Hopefully they fix that. Those two things need to be gone from this remaster to make it work, because everything else was fine. Storytelling, battle system, the music, the world, everything is fine. Just those two fucking things killed Legend of Legacy back then. Hopefully they fix that. Or at the very least, just make the enemy AI a little bit dumber, or make it easier to run away from them or to evade them so you can complete the map and have fun completing the damn map. That's the one thing that I'm hoping it was fixed in Legend of Legacy. Because, you know, if it's not fixed, I guarantee you that the game is gonna fail again. I don't even know, not that I'm against this remaster, but I don't even know why they decided to remaster this game. Why NIS America decided to. I mean, there's plenty of other JRPGs that are much better games that desperately need a remaster. But no, out of their asses, they said, how about Legend of Legacy? Oh, sure. The game that failed. Let's remaster that one. Jesus, I mean, out of all your fucking games, Legend of Legacy? But maybe they remastered the game, fixing the issues that made it fail in the first place, and now this will be like the definitive version of it to play. Hopefully. Still looking forward for that game. What are your thoughts on limited run games or first press games? Oh, I made my big rant last time. I don't want to talk about that anymore. Limited run games and companies like that are a double-edged sword. They do so many good things, but also bad things, that it's hard to respect them, but also hard to hate them. Do you think Strange Journey is the best Megami Tensei game? No, it's actually, in my opinion, one of the worst. It's still a great game though, and the story is untouchable. Great story. It's just the labyrinths are so long, full of annoying puzzles and dead ends, and but it's while still a great game, I think it's one of my least favorite Megami Tensei games that I've played. I haven't played the fan translated games. I only played the first one, Shin Megami Tensei, on the Super Nintendo, and I fucking hated the game. I haven't played the others. Did you ever finish Legaia 2? Nah, I couldn't get into it, didn't like it. Pyra or Mithra? I don't know, man. Good question. Mithra, I guess. She has more personality. Pyra seemed kind of generic for me. And I have a thing for long-haired girls, so Mithra. What indie game disappointed you the most of all time? Indivisible. Always. Not a single indie. A lot of indie games have disappointed me. Great, some of them greatly. But nothing comes close to Indivisible. That was the biggest indie disappointment of my life. Too fucking unbalanced, too fucking difficult, too fucking convoluted. A lot of unnecessary restrictions and battle mechanics that, I don't know, man. I really wanted to like that game, man. Broke my heart. Damn. Yeah, Indivisible is probably the most disappointing indie RPG I played. Crosscode wasn't disappointing, but the puzzles, like I was saying before, killed it for me. There was just too many of them, and that's another game that I really wanted to like and finish, but I wouldn't call Crosscode disappointing, more like it wasn't for me. More like I didn't know what I was getting into. I knew the game had puzzles, but I didn't know there were going to be so freaking many of those puzzles. Like 80% of the game are the freaking puzzles, man. It's really annoying, to be honest. Kills the flow of the game, kills the excitement for it, and eventually you get bored and frustrating with it. So, did it disappoint me personally? Yeah, but overall disappointing? No. Indivisible, though, is another story. It's just, oh my god. It has its fans. A lot of people love the game. I'm not one of them. Disappointed the shit out of me in a much bigger scale than Crosscode. Tears of Avia was also another one. It started off kind of boring, then it got better, and then it got really fucking boring again. I was doing a full playthrough of it on Twitch, and I gave up after part 7. I fought a boss, underestimated the boss. I could have kicked his ass, but I was like, man, I was just playing just for the sake of playing, just because I paid like $7 for it. So I wanted to get my money back at least. Yeah, Tears of Avia definitely turned out to be such a big disappointment. Like, man. But you can't compare that to Indivisible. Considering Indivisible, I mean, the game was supposed to be great. I mean, it had some great fucking ideas, great interface, great controls, great graphics, great visuals, great story. Ruined by its battle mechanics and the lack of respawning enemies, and so many problems with that game. Any thoughts on the Caligula Effect games? Not a fan. I fucking hate the music in those games. It just keeps playing this idle music during battle in both games. It ruins it for me personally. If you guys like idle music, I think the second one is a game that I can recommend. The first one is full of problems, convoluted battle system. You spend a lot of time in school, you don't know what to do or where to go. Fuck Caligula Effect, the first one. The second game, it's better. It's definitely better. I do recommend it. I didn't finish it, and I never will because fuck the music. But if you like idle music, you will probably like it more than I did. What are some personas to fuse? What? When will you get Persona 5 Reload? A fan sent money for it. I don't know if the fan is watching today. Thank you for that, but I clearly, specifically said that I wasn't going to pay money for the game. At least not now, because I don't want to... the game's too fucking expensive. And I think it's insulting that Atlus is selling the standard regular version for like $90, close to $100 for no fucking reason. That's just insulting. I don't know if that's only happening in Mexico, but that's just ridiculous. And I do not want to support that. Okay, so to whoever sent money for that, I'm sorry. I can't fulfill your request. I will buy the game though, but I would rather pay like a reseller for it than... I just don't want that money to go to Atlus USA, because fuck them. That was just fucking insulting, man. Selling your standard game for that price? Fuck you. Who fuck you think you are, man? Oh, man. Let's not get into that topic. But I'll play Persona 3 Reload eventually. Persona 5 Reload, though. I don't know. That doesn't exist, Yum Yum. Are you interested in Fate Samurai Remnant? I played the demo, I liked it, so yeah, I'm interested. I'll probably play it once it's cheap. Yeah, for sure. What is the worst tactical RPG in your opinion? Ooh, man, that's just gotta be Ys Strategy on the Nintendo DS. It never came to North America, thankfully. Released in Japan and Europe. Horrendous game. What else is there? Oh man, there's what's the name of these guys? Was it Braveland Saga? Or Braveland Trilogy? Or is it's Brave something? It's an indie game. No, man, it's terrible. Fucking terrible, man. And then there's also, what else is there? Hoshigami. Well, Hoshigami on the PlayStation 1. There's a remaster of it on the Nintendo DS that was better. It kinda saved it, but the original PS1 version wasn't terrible, but it was bad. Yeah, definitely Ys Strategy or Braveland. Man, terrible games, man. But I feel like I'm overlooking one. I feel like there's one. Oh yeah, Natural Doctrine. Oh, fuck that game, man. Fuck that game. Such unique and interesting ideas, all ruined by the convoluted battle mechanics, and the overall development of that game was terrible. Natural Doctrine, definitely one of the worst strategy RPGs of all time. What was your favorite magazine growing up? You know, gaming magazines weren't that big in Mexico, at least not where I lived, so we didn't buy them. We never did. Which one do you like better, Is 8 or 9? 9. Persona 3 Reload is a bit cheaper on Steam. No, come on, man. Let's not get into semantics here. Get the physical game from Amazon. On Amazon, it's like $100. It's just, I'm not paying that, man. Fuck you, Atlus USA. Fuck your prices. Man, you have a hate-love relationship with Atlus America. No! Wrong. I love Atlus, the developers, the company from Japan. Atlus America, I fucking hate them. There's no love in there at all. Okay? I needed to clarify that. There's no love-hate relationship with them. There's only hate. Thank you, Yum Yum. Is there a barber shop-themed RPG? I have no idea. Because your beard is getting that thick vibes from my... Yeah, it's pretty damn thick. Watch Erick's worst DS game video to see footage of that. It's fucking terrible. There's also a full review of it. I also made a review of Ys Strategy, believe it or not. Yeah, I did that. Damn that game. Thoughts on Lisa the Painful? Haven't played them. Which game is worse, the Caligula Effect Omega, Quintet, or Time and Eternity? Definitely Time and Eternity. Thank you, Omas. Yeah, look, the Caligula Effect, the original game, I don't think it's a bad game. It's just I didn't like it, I couldn't get into it, and it has some bad ideas. But I don't think it's terrible, right? It's still, I mean, understanding what you have to do and how to do it, you do it and you enjoy it, I guess, if you like idle music, right? Omega Quintet is all about idle music, and that killed the game for me. But I remember Omega Quintet had an interesting battle system. It was good. And some of the music during battle was great too. So it's not that terrible. Whereas Time and Eternity is fucking terrible on every single area. Even the music. So definitely far worse game, man. Omas. Are there enough terrible strategy RPGs out there to create a top 10 worst strategy RPGs ever? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely a lot of terrible action RPGs, terrible turn-based RPGs, and of course a terrible worst JRPGs. But I've said this before, making videos about bad games or bad RPGs, people don't like them anymore, and because of the negativity, you offend people, and then they destroy the video, and they ruin it, and the algorithm detects that, and goodbye, it's game over, man. I don't know what's up with people that they just want you to talk about the good games. I go out there and talk about the bad games, nobody gives a fuck anymore. At least not with me. Maybe there are other YouTubers out there who make videos about bad games. The Angry Video Game Nerd is a good example, but he's been doing it for years. And he's lost a lot of appreciation, and he has been dealing with a lot of censorship because of that. I don't know what's wrong with people that they completely reject worst or mediocre games, even though the fun thing about it is that it was fun to pick on them. That's the thing. Nobody wants me to make a full analysis on a bad game. I understand. I wouldn't watch that. I wouldn't watch a YouTuber making a full review or analysis about a bad game unless it's funny, right? So unless I make it funny and rant like I always do, I don't see the point in making videos about worst or bad games anymore. It used to be funny, and my videos we used to succeed, but nowadays they just don't. Take a look at my worst JRPG series, both the streams and the top 5s that I've done. They barely have any views, man. I think the only one kind of successful was the PS1 that I made like 4 years ago. All the others, they didn't do very well in views because people reject them. They don't care about bad games, even if you're funny about them. I don't know. I don't understand why. And also, YouTube doesn't recommend those videos because of the swearing. Trust me, I'd love to create more content on bad games, but I guess you gotta be funny, but in a really obedient and well-behaved and politically correct game, and make sure to not offend anybody. Bleach that beard until it's white. Will you play any of the Neptunia games? I am not a fan of the Neptunia games, and what the hell, man, I was just talking about Caligula Effect. I answered 2 questions about it. Did you miss it? Did you go somewhere while I was answering questions about the Caligula Effect? What was your favorite gaming magazine growing up? I just answered that I didn't have one, because there were barely any gaming magazines in Mexico. Are you gonna play the Paper Mario 1000 Year Door remake on Switch? Not on day one, but definitely. How dare you not like the game? Don't you know people worked hard to make it? No, I don't know. I think it's more about viewers that they all want to live in this world full of rainbows and positivity and stuff like that. So you go out and insult something. Oh no, fuck that guy, reject that guy. Let's make him fail. You know what? My 5 RPGs I need to talk about video did very well in views because I was positive about the games. But the previous episode, where the one where I said this isn't Final Fantasy, oh no, that was a failure of a video, man. Because how dare I criticize Final Fantasy 16? And how dare I base my small review on the demo? I feel like the combination of art, style, and gameplay of this new JRPG failed to connect with me. I love all the Atlus titles like Atelier, Manakimia, and Art on Helico. Nowadays nothing comes close. You mean NIS America, right? Nipponichi Software. Atlus didn't publish or develop those games. That's NIS, and that's Gust. You probably mean I love old Gust titles like Atelier, Manakimia, and Art on Helico. Yeah, man. Well, you know what? I like the newer Atelier games and the new titles, you know, but I'm a big fan of the old ones too. And the Iris games on the PS2 are some of my favorite Atelier games. And I really like Manakimia 1 and 2, especially 2. So I'm with you there, but I don't reject the modern graphics and style, you know. Erick, Nintendo just delayed the announcement of the next Switch. Do you think that we will see a lot of remasters this year because of that? Yeah. But I think we will see a lot of remasters, but not necessarily because of that. I think Nintendo delayed their Switch because the Switch is really successful nowadays, and it's still selling like crazy. So I don't think it will be a good idea to release a new console this year. I agree with them. I think they should wait till next year at least, because the Switch just still selling a lot, man. What are your favorite arcade games? I used to go and play Terminator 2, even though I don't like first-person shooters. That was a whole new, different experience back in the day when I was a little kid. I played this game where you the Jurassic Park game was also pretty intense. If you got in there in the big machine, in the big cabinet, you know, and played Jurassic Park with all those velociraptors jumping at you, you know, that was scary, man. When I was an 8-year-old kid, that terrified me, but I loved it. That was a great game. Those were my favorite arcade games, definitely, those two. Those are the ones that I used to revisit a lot when I was little. Of course, the fighting game. Street Fighter 2 was a blast, was always a blast. Playing Street Fighter 2 on the arcade. That was great. You know what? I never played the Turtles in Time. The Turtles game, I never played a single one when I was little on the arcade. I played the console versions, of course, just not the arcade versions until I was an adult, unfortunately. Anyway, you see Riviera and Golden Sun on the Switch. What do you think all Nintendo needs? Well, Riviera is not out yet, is it? Golden Sun is not exactly on the Switch. It's just on the Game Boy Advance emulator on the Switch. There's a difference. There's a video I did called 10 Nintendo JRPGs that need a remaster. Check it out. I think we will see a Switch 2 in the summer of 2025. You know what, me too. I think somewhere around between spring and summer of next year, probably. But we'll see, right? Man, I wouldn't do that. Man. I wouldn't do that if I have a console and it's selling a heck of a lot. Why would I create competition for it? It's just I don't know. From a business point of view, I think it's better to wait until next year to release a new console. I love playing Virtual Striker on the arcades. Oh, Killer Instinct. I never played Killer Instinct on the arcades. But yeah. I never played Ninja Baseball Batman. That came out when I was an adult. Too Human for the Xbox 360 is one of the worst action RPGs of all time. I didn't know it was an action RPG. And I know the game. I've seen the game. I remember when I was a reseller, I saw a lot of copies one day on a retail store for like dirt cheap, and I didn't pick it up because I was like, man, no one's gonna buy this. I don't regret that. No, well, wait, fuck, I think I did buy a copy, but I sold it for like dirt cheap, and I made a little profit out of it. Yeah, but I never played the game. I'm just concerned about this MIG switch where you can dump your XCI NSP files on this SD card, and I played it there. I heard you can even redeem Nintendo points even when it expired. Oh, that's your concern? Oh, okay. That was a good concern, man. A little bit complicated, but yeah. The browser versions of Breath of Fire 1 and 2 worth playing. There are browser versions of those games? I didn't know that. I only played the Super Nintendo versions and the Game Boy Advance versions. And the versions on the Switch emulator, on the Super Nintendo emulator on the Switch. I didn't know there were browser versions. Holy shit. Have you ever played the Atelier gacha game? Nope. I don't play gacha games. Last questions, guys. Need to GTFO pretty soon. Well, it's actually still kind of early. Anyway, if you have a time machine, what games will you buy? Will you buy when they were not expensive as they are today? Ooh, boy, I will go back and... Okay. First of all, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't sell some of my games. Like the special editions of Art and Elico 1 and 2 and Mana Khemia 1 and 2. Or my special edition of Persona 2 Innocent Sin on the PSP. I wouldn't sell that. My dot hack games, man. All 4 of them. And I got them for like dirt cheap back in the day, man. Jesus, man. I wouldn't sell those. Definitely not. And what else? But if I could go back and buy games that I didn't buy, I would buy Trails in the Sky on the PSP. I saw it for like, well, it was 60 Canadian dollars, but I could have gotten a deal. I could have gotten Trails in the Sky complete in box for like 45 maybe US dollars. And I didn't buy it. Like a fucking idiot. I would go back in time and buy Code of Princess on the Nintendo Switch. Fuck, man. I missed my chance. Again, it was kind of cheap. It was 40 Canadian dollars, which is the equivalent of 30 US dollars. And that's a great price. That was a great price back then. Nowadays the game goes for like 100. But yeah, that's one of them. Well, there was a copy of Vanguard Bandits, but it was already kind of expensive. It was like, well, how much was it? Like 120 Canadian dollars? But still, I don't know. I don't know if I will pay that much for it. I don't know. But maybe I will look for it. Yeah, if I had a time machine, I will go back to 2005 maybe, or 10, and I will buy all of those games from the PS1, SNES era that I know for a fact will become expensive in this day and age. How's that for an answer, huh? No, I don't like to speedrun games. Capcom released Breath of Fire 1 last year and 2 this year on browser. Seriously? Oh man. Okay, that's funny. If Kingdom Hearts was all turn-based, would you likely be a bigger fan? No, not really. They could be strategy, turn-based, whatever. I still wouldn't be a fan. I love action RPGs, man. I just don't like Kingdom Hearts because of the storytelling is kind of lame, and all the Disney stuff is it was good for a while, but developing a whole franchise based on it. It was a great idea, apparently, economically speaking. They made a lot of money, but I don't know, it's just, I didn't find it appealing. It's the story, the characters, the Disney stuff in there that I don't like, man. And Tetsuya Nomura. Fucking hate that guy, you know how I feel about him. So they could be the best turn-based RPGs ever, I still wouldn't be a fan. Oh, Vanguard Bandits. Do I think it's worth playing? What? How many... Do you even watch the videos I do in this channel? There's like 30 videos at least where I strongly recommended that game. Have you played Dark Deity, a strategy RPG? Oh, yeah. It wasn't that the Fire Emblem influenced by Fire Emblem game? I think so. Never came to consoles. If it comes to consoles, I'll play it. But I think it's only on Steam, right? Or is it on consoles? If it is, I'm gonna look it up. I want to play it. Do you have fans' favorite snack when gaming? No. The snack question is the last one. That's it, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to everybody who donated. Big video coming next Tuesday. I'm not going to say who it is. Big video. Check it out. Don't miss it. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. Great Sunday. Great day. Great night. Great Monday. Maybe it's Tuesday already where you live. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody.